Tesla Maniac here, and today I want to talk about paint protection film, or commonly known as PPF. PPF is a kind of urethane film plastic that is stuck over your car, and it protects it from rocks and bugs and tar and any kind of debris that hits your vehicle. I know some people think that PPF is some kind of, you're just sticking plastic on your car and it really doesn't do anything. But PPF was first developed by 3M for the US military. It was meant to protect helicopter blades from shrapnel and birds and any kind of debris that hits it, because if the impact can be taken by the film, then all you have to do is peel off the film and put on a new layer, and you have a helicopter that's still good to go, and you don't have to replace helicopter blades. It's a really great way, cost-effective way of protecting your equipment. And so the same thing is still true today for cars. But first thing you should know looking at a Tesla Model 3 is how low it is. Basically any kind of flying rock, bird, bug, anything is going to be hitting your car right across the front bumper, and because there's no grille, you have a large swath of paint that is going to be damaged very easily. That includes your entire front bumper, the fenders, your front headlights, the entire hood, A-pillars, and your side view mirrors. Now, of course, you can also get damage on your windshield and your roof and so on, but the biggest area of damage is going to be down low. So the other question people have is it visible? And as I walk around my car, you're going to notice that you really can't spot where the film is installed to. But I'll give you a hint. The entire front bumper is covered, my entire hood is covered, entire front fenders, and my side view mirrors. And one of the reasons why my install is so clean and you can't see the film is because the installer has modified the template and cut extra length on the sides where the film can be wrapped around the bumper or hood or pillars so that the film doesn't have a seam. There's still going to be certain parts that will always have a seam. For example, the front headlights, you're not really going to wrap it, so there's a seam all around it. But for like the fenders, at the corners, there is going to be a tiny spot where there isn't any film installed, where it had to wrap around the corner. Also, for my side view mirrors, it covers just the front facing part of the side view mirrors and it doesn't wrap around, so there's a seam vertically right across it. The Tesla Model 3 does not have any mud guards, and you may have seen the threads online where people are talking about the paint just coming apart or being sandblasted, and a lot of that has to do because the car has no mud guards, and as you drive you pick up rocks and your own car is throwing rocks at the undercarriage. If you're turning, the outside wheel can also throw rocks onto the side panels of your own vehicle. And if you look closely at the area right behind the rear wheels, you're going to see the body panel curves inwards, and so you've got a nice area that is painted that is also susceptible to getting rocks thrown at it from your own car. You're not limited to using 3M, or in my case I'm actually using Suntech PPF. You're not limited to using it just on the outside of the vehicle. You can also use it inside. For me, my wife likes carrying purses, and she puts them on the floor in front of her. And as she puts them in and out of the vehicle, the glove box is very low, very flat, and will immediately show any kind of scratches to anyone who enters the vehicle. And I've seen a lot of people online going, hey, I've got these scratches, what can I do about it? Well, there's really not a lot you can do, it just gets scratched. So that's one of the things that I did, is I took a big sheet and I personally cut a square shape and I attached it to my glove box. You can also add it to areas on the vehicle that are commonly kicked, like the side still, door still, the plastic areas between the side still and the footwell areas. Even your monitor in the car can be covered, but commonly these days people use a glass screen protector instead. Now you can cover your entire car, but the main purpose for this is to protect against rocks, in my opinion, so I don't feel that it's cost effective to wrap the entire car. Something else that you should be aware of is that your paint is susceptible to chemical damage. So getting tar on it, or bird droppings, or things like acid rain, or any kind of chemical damage can etch through your paint and clear coat. So clear bra can help in those cases. But rather than wrapping your entire car, another method you could do is just get some ceramic coat, and you can buy a bottle of ceramic coat on Amazon for like $62. And that'll let you do like 2 coats on your car for a pretty low cost. And I can get into how to ceramic coat, but basically if you know how to wax your car, it's about the same. You just have to make sure you clean everything off when after you've applied it to the surface. Next question is, how much does PPF cost? Now you can go ahead and buy pre-cut templates for yourself and try to install it on your own. And I actually tried that myself since I had previously wrapped some of my previous vehicles. The problem is this is not an easy job. Things like the side view mirrors are very difficult to wrap with the templates, and some templates are better than others, and the kit that I got off of eBay, it just was really hard to do. You know, I could get A-pillars installed, but the front fenders was just, there's no way it was going to fit. So buying a pre-made kit online, it's going to cost you a couple $100, maybe 300. If you go ahead and have it professionally installed, it's not going to be cheap. Depending on the region you're in and what kind of film you're getting, you're probably looking at, to get full coverage on your hood, fenders, bumper, side view mirrors, you're looking at probably between $1,500 and $2,000. And while you can say, instead of getting the PPF, I'll just let the rocks hit it, and after a couple years maybe I'll get the car repainted. Thing is, now you're running around with the car, the front end looks like Swiss cheese, underneath your paint is going to be black and it's going to show through. And when you get it repainted, that new paint is not going to age as well. Your original paint might be faded to some degree. It's just not ideal. I've had every one of my cars wrapped with PPF since 2004. Typically I keep a car for about 6 years, and by the end of the 6 years the PPF looks still great. If you ever get a huge rock that hits it, it can tear the PPF. It's not immune to damage. It can be damaged. But to give you an example, my last car, I had it for 6 years. It had 83,000 miles on it, and it had about 3 small tears in the PPF. 2 of them tore the PPF but didn't damage the paint underneath. One of them made an indentation into the paint, but it didn't make a rock chip from the paint, so it still protected it. And in the case of if it gets overly damaged, you can always peel it off and have that one panel reinstalled with more PPF. Besides cost, there is one drawback to PPF that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and that's PPF is not a lifetime product. It does age, it can yellow, it can crack, and it can get stuck to your paint. And as I was saying about repainting, if you have PPF installed on aftermarket paint, let's say your car was had factory damage and Tesla had it resprayed. If that paint didn't cure properly enough, if it wasn't applied correctly, it's possible that the PPF will adhere to the paint stronger than the paint to the bodywork. In which case, when you pull off the PPF, you may pull off some paint as well. Even if you don't pull off the paint, if the PPF is overdue for removal, being replaced, in addition to having cracks on the PPF or discoloration, it can leave a lot of residue, which means there's going to be time and effort to clean it off. Some PPF has stronger glues than others. I've heard, and this is just what I've heard, I don't know firsthand, but I've heard things like XPEL's PPF has really strong adhesive compared to something like Suntech. And since my last 2 cars have had Suntech and they haven't fallen off my vehicle, I wasn't really interested in getting something that has even more strength to the glue. So this is a diagram of the parts in my car that have been covered. In addition to the standard front bumper, hood, headlights, side view mirrors, A-pillars, I also did the side panels of the car for rocks and the areas behind both front and rear rims. I didn't yet get the bumper covered. The bumper's a good idea as well because as you put in groceries and things, you don't want to bump into it and scratch things up. But with the Model 3, the bumper is really low and it's kind of narrow, and I didn't really feel like I was going to be hitting it much. but it's on the list for something to do at some point. In addition to the glove box being covered, I also have the entire center console covered with a matte finish clear bra. And the reason I got that done is in my last car, it didn't have a piano black center console, but it had a black matte finish and it showed scratches, and over time things will get scratched. And on the Model 3, in addition to getting scratches, it shows dust, it shows fingerprints. It is really terrible. It's virtually impossible to keep clean. And by having a matte finish on there, it really hides a lot of that. So anyway, that's my spiel on pros and cons of PPF and why you should get it. It is amazingly effective. With all the road construction in my area, my car would look terrible within a year if I did not have this installed. You treat your PPF just like paint, so wax it, you can do ceramic coat on it, do everything you do with normal paint, and it should last you 8-7 years or longer. Just keep an eye on discoloration and cracking. You can bring it back to your installer every 4 years or so and say, hey, does it look good to you? And if it doesn't, and it's still under the warranty period, they'll probably reinstall it for you under warranty. There may be a fee for removal just because, like I said, when you pull it off, you might have glue residue, and that takes time to clean up. But for most people, you're trading in your car within 4 to 8 years, and so most people can go without bothering with any of the removal costs. Hope you liked the video. If you enjoy seeing this kind of content, please subscribe so you can see more. And if you're shopping for a new Tesla Model 3, my referral link is in the description below. Thanks.